The air was thick with smoke and the smell of stale beer. Laughter echoed through the dimly lit pub. John, a young US soldier stationed in Germany, raised his glass. He was finally shipping back home. His tour had been long and hard. Tonight, he felt only relief and anticipation for the future. John took a long swig of his beer. He scanned the room, his eyes settling on a lone figure in the corner. It was a woman. She sat alone, shrouded in a white dress that seemed to shimmer faintly in the dim light. Her face was hidden, but her posture spoke of deep sadness. John couldn't shake the feeling that she needed someone to talk to. He had always been a sucker for a damsel in distress. Besides, what better way to spend his last night in Germany than by offering a kind ear? He downed the rest of his drink and made his way across the room. As he approached, the woman slowly lifted her head. Her face was pale, almost translucent, framed by long dark hair. Her eyes, large and somber, held a depth of sorrow that sent a shiver down John's spine. Yet there was something captivating about her. John found himself unable to look away.
Excuse me, ma'am, you seem troubled. Is there anything I can do?
The woman looked at him, her eyes filled with a strange mixture of sadness and hope. She spoke in a voice that was soft and low, almost a whisper.
You are kind. I'm going for a walk, and it would be nice to have some company.
John hesitated for a moment. It was late and a thick fog had settled outside, but he couldn't leave her like this.
Of course, I'd be happy to walk with you.
They stepped out of the warmth of the pub into the cold, damp night. The fog was thick as soup, swallowing the sounds of the town. The woman led the way, her white dress almost glowing in the darkness. John struggled to keep up, his unease growing with every step. Despite the chill in the air, the woman didn't seem bothered by the cold. She walked with a grace that seemed almost otherworldly. John tried to make conversation, to break the silence that hung heavy between them, but she only responded with a sad smile or a shake of her head. They walked for what felt like hours, the only sound their footsteps on the cobblestone street. The fog clung to them, making it difficult to see more than a few feet ahead. John started to feel a knot of fear tightening in his stomach. He had the strangest feeling he was being led somewhere he shouldn't be.
Where are we going?
He finally asked, his voice betraying his growing anxiety. The woman stopped and turned to him, her eyes shimmering in the darkness.
Almost there, just a little further.
They continued walking, the fog pressing in around them like a suffocating blanket. John's heart pounded in his chest. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. He wanted to turn back, to run back to the safety of the pub, but something kept him rooted to the spot. Finally, they emerged into a small clearing. In the center stood an old, dilapidated church. Its spire was lost in the swirling fog above, and the graveyard surrounding it was a sea of crooked headstones. A shiver ran down John's spine. The woman in white turned to John, her face illuminated by a strange, ethereal light. She looked at him with an expression of deep sadness.
Thank you for walking me home.
And then, as quickly as she had appeared, she was gone. One moment she was standing there, the next she was swallowed by the fog. John stood there, frozen in place, his mind struggling to comprehend what he had just witnessed. A blood-curdling scream pierced the night, echoing through the graveyard. It was a sound filled with such terror and despair that it chilled John to the bone. He spun around, searching for the source of the scream, but there was nothing there, only the fog and the silent headstones. Panic surged through John. He didn't wait to see what had made that scream. He turned and ran, his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't stop running until he burst back into the warmth and light of the pub. Gasping for breath, the bartender looked up in surprise.
What's the matter, lad? You've seen a ghost.
He chuckled, but John could see the flicker of unease in the man's eyes. John stammered out his story, his voice trembling. The bartender listened patiently, his face growing serious. When John finished, the bartender sighed.
You've seen the haunting lady. They say she wanders these roads, searching for lost souls. You're lucky to be alive.
John stared at him, his blood running cold. He had just celebrated his discharge, his ticket to freedom. But now he realized that some encounters leave scars deeper than any war. He had looked into the eyes of the haunting lady, and he knew he would never be the same again.